Hello and welcome to this very special show and segment which we are starting today for the Indian Open. And it is called Ashwini Smashes. Now, why am I calling it so? Because it's her favorite shot. It's her favorite stroke, and we are celebrating the Indian Open, celebrating the 750 Super Series in India, and of course, trying to understand from the perspective of an athlete questions that in normal circumstances we as analysts don't really get or don't really understand. From the perspective of a fan, there are questions that come into our minds, but we don't often have answers to. So, who best than Ashwini Ponappa to do that for us today? We are going to tackle two very critical questions. We've seen PV Sindhu lose, heartbreak, 22-20 second game, but how difficult is it from the perspective of an athlete to come back after an injury? Because our expectations do not just come down, because she's PV Sindhu after all. That's question number one for Ashwini. And question number two, good news for India, Teresa and Gayatri pulling out a deciding game. When it is 17-17 or 18 all in the decider, what goes through the mind of an athlete? Ashwini's been there, done that, won many a tournament, so she will be able to answer this much better. Over to you, Ashwini.
Hi, Boria. Thank you. To answer your first question about getting back from an injury, especially with Sindhu having lost her match, Sindhu's just getting back from an injury, and her last tournament last year was the Commonwealth Games. She started this year with the Malaysian Open, and this is her second tournament after her injury. The thing is, with athletes, when you have an injury, it's pretty serious that you're laid off for a couple of months. In Sindhu's case, she hasn't played tournaments in September all the way until December. So as an athlete, you know how difficult it is, especially when you have an injury, because there's so much that's going on in your mind. You're worried about it relapsing. You're worried about making things worse. As much as, of course, you have time to recover and get better, and you're working on your injury and making sure you get really strong, it's not as easy as you get back onto court, especially for someone like Sindhu, who's done extremely well at the world tour, especially having won 2 Olympic medals, being a world champion, and of course finishing last year with being the Commonwealth Games gold medalist. There's a lot of pressure on her. But at the same time, of course, she's been there, done that. But having an injury and coming back from an injury is very different, because as an athlete, you have a lot of apprehension, especially because you're getting back after a layoff and you're playing high intensity matches with a lot of expectations. So I'm sure she's going to get back on track. It's probably going to take her a little bit more time because she's not been on tour for a while and she had a serious injury. But yes, it's pretty difficult, and you just get better with more tournaments.
That's excellent. So, as all of us can understand, I mean, it is not as easy as we think. It's not a remote control button like Ashwini just explained to us. Now, the second question, Teresa, Gayatri, good news. I mean, getting a decider out, always difficult. We talk about pressure. You've played such matches, you've played these points. What goes through your mind or an athlete's mind? And these are young girls. How tough is it? What do you tell yourself? How do you win critical points?
Well, with Teresa and Gayatri's match, today's match was a tough one for them, especially since they've had a very good year last year with having reached the semi-finals of the All England and having won a medal at the Commonwealth Games. There's a lot of expectations from them, and they were playing a pair whom they've lost to before. So getting into this match, I'm pretty sure they would have been gunning to beat them. And they had a close match, which was 3 games. And in the third game, we saw that Teresa and Gayatri were leading 17-11. And from there, the French pair came back to level it up at 17 all. So the question is definitely how and why that happens. At times when you are leading, you tend to hurry up and you want to finish the match faster. And at times you tend to relax and you tend to play calmer shots as someone who's leading in the match. But for someone who's trailing in the match, at that point in time, when you're down 11-17, you tend to relax a bit and you let your strokes go. And you end up not making as many mistakes and you pick up momentum. So at times, the momentum kind of changes when you're leading and someone who's trailing starts picking up point after point. The pair that's leading eventually starts getting tense. But the good thing is, during that match, Teresa and Gayatri definitely held their nerves and managed to finish it off 21-18 or 21-19, I'm not too sure, in the third game. But they played a brilliant match, and hats off to them for having held their nerves.
See, this is why it's so good to have an athlete explain these critical things, and in this case, someone who has been there and done that for India for years. Ashwini, all the very best to you. Speak to you tomorrow again. Ashwini smashes every single day from Ashwini Ponappa. Watch this, because you watch, all of us are backing the Indian Open, the 750 for the first time, top 10 badminton tournaments. One of the best we have talking to you, explaining critical points, not simply match reviews, deeper, far deeper analysis, far deeper points, critical issues that make it come alive. So that's why Ashwini Ponappa. Thank you very much for joining me today. Back with you tomorrow on Ashwini's Smashes. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Boria.